Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
So did you all hear that reading today?
Yes.
Christian D. Larson is wonderful. Pathway of Roses is a beautiful book. But the reading it sort of made me laugh because everything was great mind, great success, great this. I was reading it to Jack, and we're just laughing. It's going to be, and we woke up to, it's going to be a great day. Everything's going to be great. What's great? And I listened to it, and I go, are you serious? When we use serious in that context, what do we mean? Are you serious? Like, is that for real? So in that context, serious connotes how real something is. And there's a negative connotation of serious, too. Has anyone here ever been told, up there, anytime you can raise your hand. Has anyone ever been told that you're too serious? Anyone had that comment? Oh, not a lot of you. Man, I was like, psh. I've gotten that a lot. Wow. Well, then this is going to be an irrelevant conversation for you. I was really aiming it for people like me. So too serious and has that negative connotation. It has a good connotation in terms of it being real. But a dichotomy that's created that does not exist. Even when I was looking at the definition of serious, one of their definitions was doesn't joke. And I actually don't find that to be true. So we're going to get rid of the dichotomy. And I'm just going to use my parents as an example because they're so clear. My mom was sort of the playful, lighthearted one, laughs easily, could be very silly. I always think of my mom and Jerry very similar. And yet, like Jerry, my mom always did everything with excellence. That's the reason why she was the president of the PTA and the League of Women Voters and the Capital Complaint at church. And I was looking at her curriculum when she taught 6th grade Sunday school. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a college curriculum. She researched it, and she was not getting, because it was every Sunday back then, September to June. She's teaching Sunday school, and it was serious. I still remember the stuff she taught. I mean, it wasn't like fun and games. She took it seriously as playful and silly and lighthearted. Lighthearted people are also very serious. And then my dad, who had the definite feeling tone of being a very serious dude. I remember one time when I was a kid, I was following him around, singing everything like an opera singer, only because it would make him smile, and it was always like my goal to make him smile. He was a serious dude, but so interesting. And at one point, he was the president of the tax, in the American Bar Association, he was the head of the tax division, so he had to give speeches. And he has a very dry sense of humor, very funny. And so he'd get up and give these talks, and people would come up to him afterwards and say, these are tax lawyers. And they're like, that was hilarious. So he actually stopped telling jokes because he thought, well, it was distracting from the seriousness of his message. But I think it was this mindset that if you're serious, if you want to be taken seriously, you can't be funny. But I have met very few people who are serious about anything who also don't have a really good sense of humor. So I want to get rid of that dichotomy that serious means not having a place of seeing the joy or the humor in life. The definition, when I looked up serious, it's an adjective for anything that we consider deeply important and requires a lot of thought. Deeply important and requires a lot of care. It's a careful thought. So when you're serious about something, you're not just sort of like, oh, that's interesting to me. No, deep, careful thought. This is important. This is something I want to focus my attention on. So I even use serious as being different than important. Because there's a lot of things that are important to all of us. Our families, our friends, what's happening in our world, your work life, all sorts of things that are important. But what are you serious about? What I think about serious is it gets really personal at that point. If I'm serious about something, I am now focused and I am now fully engaged, head, heart, body, mind, and soul. I'm focusing on it. And you'll start noticing, if you sew out the question for this week, as we're traveling through this week, is what are you serious about? Not interested in, not just is important, but what is serious to you in the sense that you give your time, your energy, your focus. And I have found, the way I have found what I'm serious about is not by just thinking about, well, what am I serious about? I can't help it. When we're serious about something, it's something pulling you. It's almost like, I have to do this. I don't have a choice. I have to think about this. It matters to me. It matters. When you ask yourself that question, you might already know immediately, some of you, because you feel it in your body. It's not just an intellectual, oh, this is serious. I find that serious. You're going to feel it because it's serious. Your body is going to react. It's going to respond. This is serious. And you know when something is serious to you because you can feel it in your whole body. So that is the inquiry. And like I said, some of you might know instantly. Some of you may want to reflect on it. What are you serious about? Christian D. Larson was talking about our purpose. And we talk a lot about what is our purpose. And people, I can just say what I've heard from a lot of people throughout my years of ministry. I don't know what my purpose is. I'm trying to find out what my purpose is, or I think I know what my purpose is. So really, this is coming the same thing, but just coming at it just from a different question, but the same result, which is when you ask, what are you serious about? The reason why it hits your body is because it's hitting a soul essence. That's why you can't help but think about it. That's why you can't help but be compelled by it, because it's hitting something that's why you're going to feel it in your body. This isn't just a mind thing. Your soul, the reason why you came into this earth, boom. I'm not just interested in this. I'm serious. I'm going to learn. I have to know. I have to become. I have to grow. Your whole being starts to get engaged. Do you know what I'm talking about here? You felt it. You feel it. And so that is, if you want to know what your purpose is, a wonderful question, or just, like I said, you may already know the answer, but either the question or reflection of, what have I been serious about in my life? And this is not serious about just, like one of the ways they talk about purpose is what do you think about a lot. But for those people who are working, what you're thinking about might be just like, oh, I got to do this for work, and I got these projects, and I got to get this done, and I got to have that conversation. Oh, and then I got to go home, and I got to get my laundry done. I got to get grocery shopping, and I have my these friends, and I got to see my friends. Your life is so full that it's not necessarily what you're thinking about all the time when you're working, because you have a lot of other things your mind has to accomplish. That's why I like the idea of seriousness, because depending on your life, you know something serious, but you may not have a lot of time every single day. But you've noticed, oh, I just keep coming back to this. No matter how busy I am, no matter how many things, this matters to me. This is something I'm going to spend time on in myself. So that's why I like that question of what are you serious about, because we do have a lot of things that we think about because we have to. But I think seriousness is actually where we thrive. There's the survival piece, and the thriving piece comes from what you find serious and what you give yourself to. So I'm going to use myself as an example, but mostly because my example is about spiritual stuff, and since we're in a spiritual community, it seems appropriate, but it's not. I want to be very clear about spirituality. Spirituality is in everything. So it has nothing to do with me being a minister, because there's a lot of people who are profoundly spiritual who don't even go to a spiritual community. When something is important to you and serious, it's going to show up even in the spiritual community differently. And so the way it has shown up for me throughout my life is I have this drive, and I would use the word intensity, because to me serious and intensity seem work, at least in my experience. I haven't taken a survey course. But for me personally, seriousness is also something that is very intense. I'm not like, oh, this is interesting, or oh, look, I heard this interesting fact, or I love reading about it. It's like intense. It's a fire in my belly, and what that is for me is truth. It's not something like, I can't read a few cool things that like, oh, that makes sense, I like it, I'm good. No, well, wait a minute, that's partially true. You know, and many of you know when I first started the Lighthouse, because I was still pushing against some teachings that I had, not that it was wrong, but I was like, it's not resonating, and it's not bad. That sandpaper isn't bad. It's what's growing me. I'm compelled. And you know who I'm compelled to talk to? Are other people who have that passion. I've talked a lot about over the years conversations I have on the ministers listserv. There are hundreds of people on the ministers listserv. Most of them do not participate. Actually, we don't do much on the listserv anymore. But back in the day when the internet and emails were new, we were like, oh, we can all talk to each other. This is so fun. And we would get into these really profound conversations that would agitate, that would upset, but at the same time were compelling because when it's just your own little church, everybody agrees, and then you start saying, oh, people who are also CSL ministers has different perspectives. And then we would get into the discussion because we cared. And that's what I loved about it. That's what kept bringing me back. I wanted to talk with other people where these things really mattered, where it wasn't just, oh, that's good. The people who actually participate, take the time to write the emails, take the time to respond. These were my people, not because we all agreed on everything, but because we cared enough to, we couldn't stop thinking about it. Jack always makes fun of me because, I was mom, and I'd be up in the middle of the night writing emails in my head. But not because it was bad, but because I was compelled, because this was serious. This was something that's serious to me. I'm not just going to say little truths that are nice little flippant truths. I want to really know, well, is that actually true? Is it partially true? How does it fit? I've had many different spiritual experiences, and then people said, well, it's because of who you are. And I've really thought about that. I said, no. There's degrees in the human realm of artistic, of everything, math, art, sports. But spirit is the great equalizer in everybody. There is no more spirit in one person than anybody else. There's no greater person than another person when it comes to spirit. That's incredible. What's interesting is how important spirit is, and then what that looks like. It doesn't mean that people who aren't interested in what I mean, who don't have that compelling to keep writing and getting to truth, that doesn't mean they're not spiritual, or spirituality doesn't matter to them, but it matters to them in a different way. They're focused on another area. So the question is, even on your spiritual life, what is serious about your spiritual life? What does that look like for you? And just in terms of it being a great equalizer, because I think this is just because I've heard it so many times about some people being, and of course, we know there's spiritual leaders, there's people who are more advanced than I am, but I can't fool myself and say there's more spirit in them. They've realized more spirituality in them. But to say, well, I don't have that, that is completely out of alignment with what we know to be true. That if I see a spiritual master, all of us, I don't mean not just me, any of us see spiritual master, someone that we're excited by, all of that's inside of us. It's just, are we compelled? Do we have that intensity? Are we serious about it in a certain way? I was thinking about, because it's Beatles Day, so I was thinking about George Harrison and also Steve Jobs. Both of them loved Paramahansa Yogananda, and they made it known. George Harrison had a lot of spiritual teachers, but he was really clear on how much Yogananda impacted his life and how he carried him all the way to his transition. Steve Jobs loved Yogananda. He got every one of his employees the autobiography of a yogi. That was the gift to every one of his employees. That's how much Yogananda touched him. These are big, famous people, but I know so many people in this community out in the world who are not part of Yogananda's world and yet have experienced Yogananda. He comes to all sorts of people. And he says, that's my role. I come to a lot of people. That doesn't mean they're my followers, but I'm waking them up spiritually, so I'll show up and wake them up, and then they find their path. It doesn't matter, and I say that because I've heard a lot of people talk about George Harrison and Yogananda. This is my point. It's a great equalizer. Spirit comes to all people. All it takes is you being interested, and then if you are that interested, how serious, how intense is your seriousness? Is it willing to change your life? And I look at, so spirituality, how serious, and then what it looks like. So for me, it looks like ended up becoming a pulpit minister. For Jack, his spirituality has grown. He's still doing his spiritual practice. He's really gotten anchored in a very strong spiritual practice in the last several years. But we know what he's serious about, right? He's serious about music. And one of the most beautiful things to me is this Beatles Day that he has today. And what makes it so beautiful and pure to me, this is the 12th year, and the first couple of years he would talk about it all the time, and he's practicing, and he spends so much time getting ready for Beatles Day. And I remember the first few years, and I would go, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's like off in the corner. He plays in between bands. So when he's playing, everybody's talking. The bands are talking to each other. They're tearing down, setting up. Nobody's listening to him, or it seems like to me. It is his favorite Sunday because he's not doing it to make everybody happy. He's doing it because it means so much to him. He will work on his songs, and he likes getting into conversations with the other musicians because you know what you're serious. You want to talk to other serious people. Those are the conversations that excite you the most. Those are the conversations that fill you the most. And he'll talk about you should see what they were doing, and they'll talk about what he was doing. And I'm like, do you know nobody's like listening to you? And so the other people are, bands will come in and we'll have conversations. He goes, but it doesn't matter. I'm just there because I love their music and I love to participate. That's someone who's serious. He's not doing it for the outcome. He's not doing it for the big bucks because he's not getting paid. He's not doing it for the fame or the accolades or people clapping to him or listening to him. He's doing it because he loves it. And he spends months preparing for something that people are barely even listening to him. Isn't that beautiful? What are you that serious about in your life? What are you so passionate about that you're going to spend so much time working on, whether people are paying attention or not, whether you get any money for it or not, no matter what the external outcome is, because that's really what the Gita is all about. It's all, for those of you who have been reading it, it's all about don't worry about the outcome. It's not about the outcome. It's about the process. It's about what you're doing. It's about your passion. It's about your seriousness. And I love that word, seriousness. Being so serious about what you do because that means you know that what you're doing has importance, that it has value to your soul. What are you serious about? So serious that no matter what, you have to do it. There's this body, physical, emotional, mental, soulful pull. I have to do this. And as you live what you're serious about, you'll also find it's the exact same thing that's going to be the greatest source of your growth. That you will continue to grow because you are serious about it, because you are giving yourself to it. It will continue to grow you. So in terms of Jack, even since the 20 years we've been here, I don't know much about music, but I have seen him evolve as a musician, as a singer. That's true for all of us in your spiritual work. What you are serious about, we are going to evolve. I am not the same person I was when I started the Lighthouse. I'm not the same person as I was when I started ministry 26 years ago. We continue to grow and evolve. Now, there are plateaus, so it's not always, you can't grow. So to me, a plateau, so it's growth, and then you have a plateau, and then you grow. That plateau, though, it's not that nothing is happening. To me, that plateau is assimilation. Like you've been growing and growing and growing. Now you have to assimilate all that growth. When I first became a minister, my very first year of ministry, I wasn't an assistant minister, I wasn't a staff minister. I just went from nothing to being a senior minister. So it wasn't just a new job, it was a totally new role, brand new, everything was new. In that same year, I met and married Jack. In that same year, I got pregnant. I got pregnant on our honeymoon. We were late, so we didn't think we were going to get pregnant. We did on our honeymoon. And we also moved. We moved from Alexandria to Falls Church. So 4 really big things, marriage, motherhood, and ministry being the 3 biggest, all happened in the first year. And it kept going. It didn't stop. It wasn't like this. It was, and then it kept growing for years, and then it plateaued, because then it just took a lot of time to assimilate. And I can look at my life and go, oh yeah, those are the growth periods, those are the assimilation periods. What you're serious about will do that for you. Jack could probably, I haven't talked to him, but I'm sure musically he would know his growth periods, assimilation periods. What are you serious about? Because we've all been around a long time. You know what you've been serious about up until this moment. Not just what you think about all the time, but what you are serious about, what matters to you. It has great importance. What are you serious about? If somebody, not a family member, but friends, could your friends tell you what you are serious about? If they knew you, if they met you, and how long would it take for someone who knows you just for a short period of time? Would they know what you are really serious about? Do your friends know what you're really serious about, what really, really matters to you? Not just in talking, but in how you live your life. You see, some people don't, when I have gotten many times, you think too much, you're too serious. I should also say, I've had the opposite. I'm too silly. I mean, my dad used to tell me, Harriet, you're too easygoing. I wish you had a little more tension in yourself. Because I would just be like, it's fun, and I liked playing, and in my 20s, and I was in New Thought, so I was always the youngest, and they were all doing inner child work, and I'm like, dang it, I am working on my inner adult. I have not yet found her, but I know she's there somewhere. But then when I do my spiritual stuff, I'm serious. They didn't see that because I didn't talk about it. But as I became a minister, so these things that I want to talk about, these things that really start mattering to me, and it's like I constantly want to I just think of also sports, because I remember a conversation Ken Wilber was having with a football player, and how much football players really appreciated players on the other side being really good. He said, because they pulled out of me things that I didn't even know I had. If I have no one to push against, if I have no one making me grow, I just continue on. I just go, oh yeah. It's those. That's why the sandpaper's good. Those are the conversations I want. I don't search out people who think the way I think. Nor do I search out people who are like, yeah, I do have friends who are ministerial friends who are just like, yeah, it's okay, Harriet. You don't need to think that much. I know what I think. That's great. But I search out the people who have that motor that I have. Like, I know this isn't making sense. I gotta get, it's partially true. And those are the people I like. When you're serious about something, you want to be around other serious people. That's why all the superstar athletes like each other. Even though they're on opposite teams, they high-five each other, they hug each other afterwards because they're so grateful to have somebody who can meet them at that level. What are you serious about? Who are the people in your life that are not telling you you're too serious, but are absolutely right there with you, who care as deeply as you care? This is about coming alive. This is about being great. How alive are you is how serious you are. Interestingly, serious we think of as sort of like, oh, it's somber. No, serious is what brings you alive. What are you serious about? Who are the people that you're bringing in? And don't let the people who you make uncomfortable, that's okay too. Because Jack and I learn this with each other, because I'll get really fired up about something spiritually, and he's just like, yeah, Harriet. He doesn't have all that stuff going on that I do. But then he'll talk forever about Beatles Day, and I'm like, you should probably call one of your music friends, because I'm like not that into it. I mean, I like it, but the details he goes into, and he'll get on the phone with Ed Pfeiffer, and they blah, 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 just like talk. So it's not like you have to surround yourself with people that are only like you. It makes life so beautiful and interesting to have all these people of different things that bring us alive. But at least have a few people in your life that are as serious about what you do that you do. Because they're the ones who will grow you the most. What are you serious about? How has it been growing you? Who are the people that bring that out in you, that allow you to express your seriousness without having to apologize? Because often when people say you're being too serious or too complicated, by the way, the universe is really complicated. I hate to say that, but I mean, we like to keep it simple, but it's not simple. That's one of my things. There's a lot there, and I'm interested in the complexity of it. I'm in fire about the complexity of it. So who are the people that are going to let me be curious and interested and serious about the complexity without shutting me down and telling me you're making it too serious, you're too complex, you're blah, blah, blah? That's fine, because that's not their thing, but don't let it shut you down. Find the people that won't shut you down. And I say that because I think I have shut down, Jack and I shut each other down sometimes because we're not as interested. So I'm not saying shut you down like they're bad people. It's just not their thing. Find the people, everybody needs them, where you can flourish as you. Where you do not have to apologize for being as serious as you are about what you are serious about. And the great thing about knowing what we are serious is we discover, when I say there's no dichotomy, it's our deepest joy. The reason why I am compelled about my particular seriousness and you are compelled about your particular seriousness is not because it makes you sad, not because you're like, oh, I gotta do this. It's your deepest joy. It's your bliss. To be thinking about it, to be looking at it, to be, if you're learning, Joni's over here and Jay with their music and they're learning new songs, it's their bliss to learn new things, to try new things. It's my bliss to I'm struggling with this, but that's not a bad thing. I'm happy to be doing it because I'm doing exactly what my heart, my soul, my mind need to do. What is it that you are willing to do and you're so serious about it because it brings you so much joy? It brings you alive. It is why you are here. It is what makes you shine and radiate. So when you're talking to people, you are shining and radiating because you are so happy to be you. And that does not mean that everybody else is going to like you being you. There are people who do not like me. Stupid heads. No, but seriously, we talk a lot about, I want people to like me. Of course, I want to be very clear. Nobody wants to not be liked. It hurts. It's no fun. There's a lot of things in this world that are no fun. Jack having cancer and going through, and when I talk about him having cancer, I know everybody here has stuff. So it's not that he's so special that he has stuff. Everybody has stuff. Those things are not fun. But the thing that I know about my life and about Jack's life, and I'm just using this as an example, but I absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's true of every one of you, we are not special. It's just an example. There's nothing that's going to make me not be who I am and be serious about my life and God and about what truth is. There's nothing that's going to take music away from Jack. Nothing. It might suck what he's going through, but it will not touch him one iota who he really is. And everybody knows he is because he's been so serious about it his whole life. He oozes it. And so you can have these things that are very difficult to walk through, but it never, ever, ever will take away from the essence of who you are and what you are serious about, because that's serious joy that we're talking about. We are talking about serious joy, not temporary joy, not like woohoo joy. I mean deep, abiding soul joy. What are you serious about? And finally, and I'll be bringing this up pretty much every talk because I have 8 more talks, is always applying it to our Lighthouse community. That this community is on a journey of exploration as well. What is this community serious about? Not mildly interested, not like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, as a and I'm not saying you have to have the answer. It's an exploration, but it's a question to ask. What is this community serious about? Because is what you're serious about is going to be the very thing that brings this community alive. And if you're not clear what this, and I don't mean just one person or 2 people or just leadership. It isn't just a board question. It's not just a prayer team. It's everybody who's part of this community. It is a collective, and so conversations need to be having outside of Sunday service, conversations. What are we serious about as a community? And the more conversations that happen, the more there starts to be collective agreement around what this community is serious about, you're going to start, what was that? He said in the reading about you're going to start attracting the great minds, the great sources. You're going to start creating and calling forth, being a magnet of bliss, a magnet of beauty, because you know what you're serious about. And you're committed to it, and that is what brings a community, not just in survival mode, but in thriving mode. And that's the extraordinary possibility before the Lighthouse community right here and right now. And I hope you say yes to it. I hope you say yes to your own passionate seriousness, that is blissful seriousness, and committed to the seriousness of what this community is, to bring it to its highest thriving bliss beyond our wildest imagination. Let's pray. What a blessing to be with this beautiful community, because I know everyone who has shown up here this radiant morning, both in person and online. We are all here because we love God, truth, universe, love. We are all here because we have said yes to the seriousness of our spiritual journey. Each of us in our own unique ways, yes. But the collective is that, yes, our spiritual journey is serious. Not just a passing interest, not something that we just touch in with every once in a while. We are serious to know, individually and collectively, that the one power and the one presence is the Alpha and the Omega, and everything in between and beyond of this one power and one presence. It's what matters more than anything else. It even matters more than our very next breath. This power and this presence that is so alive right here and right now, in, through, and as all of us, and yet never limited, not just to us in this space, but not limited to any space, not limited to any period of time. It includes all time, all space, and it is beyond all time, and is beyond all space. It is everything. And we are breathing that everythingness, that cosmic consciousness right here and right now. It is pouring forth in, through, and as every atom and cell of our body temple, our emotional body, our mental body, our energy body, that wonderful ideational body. It is everything that we are individually and collectively. We can never step outside of it, even if we tried. It is who and what we are. It is who and what we breathe. It is every word and organ, action and function, our thoughts, our words, everything that we are. Everything that we are participating in all day long, all week long, we are participating as conscious beings of the light, of the beauty, of the harmony, of the grace, of the absolute bliss of pure spirit. And so for this spirit showing up absolutely as itself in all its unique essence, because we are compelled, each and every one of us is compelled to know this oneness in our own unique ways. We are compelled to fulfill and express this oneness in our own unique way as we look within and really capture in our beingness what we have been serious about our whole life, but not a heavy seriousness, the seriousness of light, the seriousness of joy. And we witness and see that, we celebrate that within ourselves, and we commit ourselves even more to being willing to be even more serious about that which is greater than words could ever say. And the more we step into the brilliance and the beauty and the harmony and the power and the grace of who and what we are, we start seeing it bursting out all around us, in the world around us. We are impacting and blessing our family, our friends, our community, our work life, as citizens of this country, as citizens of this world, and citizens of this cosmos. We are the light. We are the light. When we take our journey seriously, we are the light. In deep abiding gratitude for our inherent seriousness and for the bliss that it is, we just give thanks. And I release this word now into the action of the law, knowing that as this word has been spoken, it truly is already done. In gratitude, in joy, and in awe, we let it be as we say together. And so it is. Amen and amen.
I walk in God in all